Hola, humans, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Comic God Podcast. I am Trudell, the Comic God, and I'm happy you're here. So, let's get into it, huh? Alright, so maybe a little about me first. I am a nerd. I draw for a living, I make illustrations, comic books, children's books, stuff like that. And I love manga, anime, comics, movies, specifically sci-fi and fantasy. Also, I love video games of that variety as well. Mythology is my shit. I really like that. Any mythology from anywhere, I could definitely get into it. Gods and monsters? That's what I'm talking about. Heroes? Whoo! Okay. And basically, if you wrap all that up and maybe add a dash of conspiracy theory, that's what we're going to get in my podcast going forward. So, I'm so happy you guys are here and listening. Let's get to the show. Bringing to you the first Comic God podcast. Now, what are we talking about today? Nerd shit. We talk about nerd shit on this show. That's what we're talking about now. So, first off, I want to talk about there's a Wolverine game coming. Wolverine? What? By the same people who did that Spider-Man game that was so dope, and the Miles Morales like expansion or whatever that was supposed to be. I didn't play it. I shoulda. I'm a bad fan, and I'm a bad black nerd for not playing that game, but I didn't because I didn't have a PS5, and I felt like to get the full experience, probably should get the PS5. I'm not even sure. I'm gonna say for my own good, for my own consciousness, that you couldn't even play it on the PS4. I know that's probably a lie, but hey, that's what I'm saying for myself. Anyways, I want to talk about that Wolverine trailer because I thought it was really darn cool. I'm not sure where he is, right? Because he's in his Canadian getup, cowboy hat, flannel, that wonderful like OG Wolverine dress up look. And but in the bar, half of it looks like it could be like in like Canadian Canada, like Canada, but there are like Chinese lanterns. So I don't know where he's at because also he's also famous for being in Japan and fighting ninjas and shit like that. So I don't know if it was like, oh, this is his vibe, this is like his thing. We're gonna leave a few Easter eggs everywhere, or if that's a Canadian attempt to have a Chinese theme or a Japanese theme, or if he's in Japan and that's an attempt to do like a Western bar. I don't know. I'm really intrigued. I've seen that he does have his adamantium claws, so we know it's not way in the past. It's probably relative present, and I'm just super excited. I can't wait till we get like a full on know what he's doing trailer because I wouldn't mind if the Weapon X was the bad guy for that, or even if it was just Sabretooth and the whole thing takes place in Canada, right? Or if it was like he's in Canada, but last time he was in Japan, he caused up some shit, and the Silver Samurai is like doing shit from Japan, and then we're in Canada for the first half, but for the second half, we have to go to Japan or something like that. There's a problem with the plane ride. He has to drop from the plane into just outside the waters of Japan. That'd be a cool game while fighting people. Ooh, interesting stuff. Obviously, he lives because he cannot die from that fall or from really anything. It's very hard to kill him. That's why he's been alive for centuries. But all that in saying, I'm super excited, especially because I know the game companies that's doing it, did so well with Spider-Man, and they're also doing a Spider-Man 2, which I'm super excited about. And the person, whoever's doing the narration for Spider-Man 2, I think that's Kraven the Hunter, because he was talking about challenges and games and stuff like that. I think Kraven the Hunter would be awesome, but then that's what I thought the whole time. The whole time I watched this trailer, I'm like, ooh, Kraven the Hunter's coming, and I really like Kraven the Hunter. I don't know why they never use him in anything, but I really like him as a character. And then at the end, spoiler alert, we get Venom just popping out of nowhere. It's Venom. What? And it's so interesting. I don't know who's going to be Venom. It can't be Eddie Brock, right? Just judging by the end of the last game, like the after credits, it has to be Harry Osborn, right? Like it has to be, unless it isn't. And they're gonna do a 180 or a retcon or something. But why would they set that up? It didn't have anything to do for the story. So I think that they're making Harry Osborn Venom, or he's gonna have a Venom problem, and then we get like a Black Spider-Man thing going on, and then I really don't think they're gonna take us through the whole story of the Venom symbiote. Even if it was created and then gets on Spider-Man and then gets to Eddie Brock, I really don't think they're gonna do that. So I think it's gonna be. I think it has to be Harry Osborn. Now, could I be wrong? Of course. I'm just rolling off the cuff with this. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. I wasn't in that team, but just from playing the last game, that's my theory. But I am very excited for both of those games because Insomniac did a really freaking good job. And Wolverine's fight mechanics, so intrigued. How gory is it going to be? Is it going to be gory at all? Because there wasn't anything too crazy in Spider-Man's. There wasn't any blood or anything that I can remember, right? Maybe a little bit that will happen, but nothing insane. I wonder if they're gonna go balls to the wall with Wolverine and do everything he would do, make it like that last Wolverine movie, or if they're gonna go PG with it and the claws kind of just like the claws are like punching. You know what I mean? Like you probably cut through doors, but when you go to fight people, it works more like a bat than three claws, which I think is very possible. But I hope they do something interesting. But they're gonna sell less if it's R-rated. If it's like an R-rated game. So I guess we'll see. I'm excited about it anyways. The last one had a good story, so I hope this one has a great story. And Wolverine, he has a wealth of things to choose from. So that in general, I'm just hyped about. Another game I'm super excited about that recently got a trailer was God of War Ragnarok. I am real hype for that. But for the I don't know, the first time I watched it, I was like, looks like the last game. I don't know. But then I thought about it some more, and then I rewatched the trailer, and I am so hype. I said it like I didn't like the first one, which I loved it. I still play it. I play two games, and I play Hades on my Switch, and I play God of War on my PS4. Still, that's a 2-year-old, 3-year-old game, I think, and I have the art book for it. So I absolutely love it. I can't wait for the second one to come out. There's a lot of interesting things in there. We got to see Tyr, that big mofo. He is giant. He's way bigger than Kratos, and I think that's hilarious. And I'm just intrigued story wise to see what he'll do and how he got lost or wherever they found him. I'm just intrigued by that. We get to hear from Thor, and that's going to be cool because he's definitely the villain in this or antagonist, I guess, in this story. And I seen some concept art for him, and I think he looks dope as hell. And I like how different he looks from like Marvel's Thor. He looks like he's supposed to be the strongest of the gods, and he looks like he's really strong. He looks like he could lift a lot. He looks like he can join a strongman competition and body everybody there. The red beard, the red hair, looks great. He's just a thick boy all around. Let's go. I want to see that guy fight with his little ass hammer too. It's hilarious. I'm so down for it. There's Loki's love interest. Who's a black girl. Let's go, black representation. That's what I'm talking about. Who's supposed to be. This is what I heard. I don't know, and I don't know if it's in the trailer, but I heard that this is supposed to be like Loki's first wife in mythology. She's a witch that lives on the outskirts of. I don't know if it's the outskirts of Asgard or they're just on the outskirts of somewhere. And I think she is down the line the mother of Fenrir, Jormungandr, and Hel, which I'm not 100% sure about that. I was listening to something and they said that she was that character. I don't know if that's the case, but it's just a character that looks interesting. And if she is a witch, there's more magic, and I will never say no to magic. That's for sure. So all in all, I really just want to see the story because the story in the last one was so great, so nice. I want to see what the story is, what the story plays out. They have a lot to do with going to get Tyr and confronting Thor, or Thor confronting them, and Ragnarok coming because they killed Boulder, which is the linchpin to all of that. And this happens way earlier than it should because in mythology anyways, which is where I think the like the main the, I would explain this like there's like branch timelines in Marvel. So the main timeline is regular mythology, and then it split off when Kratos got to Asgard or Midgard or wherever the Norse gods live in that particular universe. And now everything is happening way earlier than it's supposed to. So I just find that really interesting. And I find it interesting that Loki is so young and Thor is like a grown man. And in mythology, everyone seems to be around the same age. And it's just interesting. I know this is all for story purposes. We're just supposed to play a fun game, but I like relating it back to whatever they're basing it on because I think it's fun to do that, and I love just mythology in general. So I'm definitely looking forward to this game. And Tyr has the glowing eyes like Mimir has the one glowing eye. And I'm like, does he have all the knowledge? What's that about? But that's just a side note. I don't know. I don't want to go too far off on a tangent, but I'm looking forward to this game and I'm excited for it to come out because I can't just keep on playing God of War 1 or 4 or wherever in the 6, I think, because the PSP games, but wherever this in the standing, I can't keep on playing that God of War game. So, second one is a must right now. All right, so now it's time for the hot take segment. This is where I give y'all a hot take today. It's like the Z Fighters. They really don't need to suck. Now, when I'm talking about the Z Fighters, I obviously don't mean Goku. I don't mean Vegeta. He was never a Z Fighter, though. I don't mean. Really, Goku is the only person that was an actual, like, Z Fighter. I mean anyone who's human and Piccolo. They have all been done dirty by the story. They've all been done dirty by Super Saiyan, even. And they don't need to suck, right? They don't even serve the right purpose anymore. I remember back in the day, Dragon Ball, when Master Roshi passed the torch on to my boy Tien Shinhan and was like, you are the one to lead the next generation. And then Goku got stronger, obviously. It's Goku, so I'm not even mad at that. He should have gotten stronger. But Tien, in a few short arcs, became immediately obsolete. And I don't love that. I don't love that at all. And then after that, Piccolo. Piccolo was the guy. He's the new guy. It's Goku and Piccolo. It's the Goku and Piccolo show. Let's go. And then in a few short arcs, my boy Piccolo became obsolete. Now, none of the humans, not Piccolo, nobody really matters. Right now, all the Saiyans are off in space fighting weird space threats, getting god power. And then we have Tien, for example, still training every day, not getting stronger for some reason, teaching a whole ass class of people who apparently aren't getting stronger themselves. It's just, to me, personally, it's a little bit frustrating. I don't think it needs to happen. And I think all these new forms that only Saiyans can get for some reason, like Super Saiyan God, because if you could train to get that power, like Vegeta did, shouldn't anybody be able to train to get the God power? Or the essence of the God, or the key of a God, you'd think? I think that makes sense, but nobody does it, right? We've only seen Tien train. We've only seen Piccolo train. You don't think they would try to be like, hey, yo, Whis, we'd like some training too? Or at least, can I shadow these guys when you train them? Something? Because they're not getting stronger anymore. Piccolo's a babysitter. He's just the babysitter for Pan right now. And before that, he's a babysitter for Gohan. He used to be a demon king. I know that was technically Piccolo's dad, but also he is also the reincarnation of his father. Some weird stuff happened there. I don't know what it's. I don't even know how to explain it. He's the father of the Demon King Piccolo, but he's also Piccolo Jr., who is the same character because he was still a part, the other half of Kami. I don't know. It's this whole thing. I don't know how that makes sense, but he used to be a demon king, right? Spit up all those little flying demons. The demon that killed Krillin, y'all remember that? That was cool. He was a badass, even though that was his father's feat. But anyways, he was a badass. Now he's a babysitter. What the hell's up with that? And then you bring in Super Saiyan. And it's like if you thought these guys were struggling to catch up, Super Saiyan's a 50-time multiplier. 5-0 people with no consequences to it. You don't go Super Saiyan and then like your arm breaks after. It's not like the Kaioken, for example. It's it's just a mode where hey, I'm one and I'm stronger now 50 times. So how is anyone gonna compete with that, right? If it was 2 times, it might be like maybe, but he goes from someone who's stronger than you to someone who is now 50 times and a little bit stronger than you. It is so crazy. But if we were to roll back in these characters somehow, I feel like we could still do it in an interesting way. If we get a team together, like a Dragon Ball team Earth division, where it's Piccolo, Tien, Chaozu, maybe even Boo. And then we get them to take care of all like the cool mystic stuff, anything like magic and spiritual and monster, because that used to be so prevalent within Dragon Ball, right? Goku's fought demons, right? Like not Demon King Piccolo where he's actually an alien. Like legit demons have been in here. Monsters. Krillin fought the Invisible Man. Wait, no, it wasn't Krillin. It was Yamcha, but still, there was an invisible man. So I feel like there's definitely something for them to do. And going down the more fantasy mystical route, other than what the Saiyans, like Goku and Vegeta, are going down, which is the more sci-fi route, I think that would be a cool thing to explore because there's a lot there. And it's easy. If you really wanted to do it, just say there's something up with Majin Buu because he was literally created by two wizards. He's all magic. So be like, something's up with Buu. And then you could go down and what does him being the Demon King and what does him being the former god of Earth mean by Piccolo, I mean. And what does Tien's third eye even mean? Where does Chaozu come from? Because I heard somewhere, I don't know if this is true, but I heard that Chaozu's design is based off of a Chinese vampire. That's super interesting. Bring that back. Where did he come from? And it's not makeup because he's like that 100% of the time. So Tien's eye works. It's not a tattoo. Where did these people come from? It's so interesting. Yamcha, we know where he come from. He's a human bandit, right? But Tien, the three-eyed tribe, who might be aliens, but also might just be a spiritual tribe that he's the last member of. That's freaking tight. I would love, personally, if there was a spin-off where it's just like Dragon Ball Z Mystics, for example. And it's just all the mystical goings on of Earth. And you could even tap into maybe different dimensions other than like different universes, different dimensions, and what's happening there. And you can create a new thread and the origins of these people. And did Piccolo do something to become a demon? Did he do something to become? Did Kami do something to become a god? What happened there? Right? Because there was a god of Earth before that. Kami mentioned that. Who was he? Where does this mystical god come from? Why does it have to be someone who's pure good? That's also interesting too. And if there is a guardian of Earth, is there the opposite of that? The whole pure evil thing? Because there's devils. There are legit devils. Where do they come from? Do they come from the hell that we know of? Because no one's dressed like that there. Or looks like that there. From what we've seen, anyways, when like Goku fell off Snake Way. So, what's the deal? But all in all, I'd love a spin-off like a DBZ Mystics. I'm probably gonna draw up a cover for it because I think that'd be so cool. But if I can't get that, give me a TN book. I think that'd be super awesome. It's TN, and then you get people filtered in and out. You could get like Yamcha come in. Obviously, Chaozu would probably be a main character, and then just give me one arc where maybe one of the people he's training, he teaches them too much and they go a little evil with it, and then he has to stop them. Something simple. I just like Tien, and the potential for backstory and for him finding out the Three-Eye Tribe, that would be cool too. Instead of just like a person that goes evil, maybe he's like, you know what, I can't train these people for a reason. Maybe it's because I don't know myself as well as I should. And then he goes off and looks for his tribesmen, or like some old mythology on what he actually is and why he was so good with it at the beginning and not good with it now. I think that would be tight. And give Piccolo something to do too. Make Piccolo go with him, because I love those two characters and they've been reduced to almost nothing, which is very unfortunate because they were both kings of their own respective arcs and the ones close after that. That's all I want. I just want the humans to be able to do something again, because with all this god stuff and all these new forms and everything, they just became so obsolete, and they had great character writing. So I don't know why I had to do them like that. And I know it's because Goku's the main character, and the story doesn't really work without Goku, because they tried to make Gohan the main character, and it just kind of fell flat, and they brought back Goku in the Buu arc. So I just think it would be better if the non-Saiyans had something more to do. That's it. That's my hot take. My hot take is all the other characters failed, or the writers failed all the other characters. And don't get me wrong, I love the series. It's great. Dragon Ball Z was the gateway for me to even get into manga and anime and drawing and all that junk, right? It's the one of the first actual books that I read was the first issue of Dragon Ball Z, because I think my mom got it for me or my grandma got it for me. So somebody got it for me, and I read that because I already like Dragon Ball Z. So I'm not knocking the current story, right? I'm not even reading the current story in Super because no, I'm not. I can't get my hands on it. But it's just that there's so many characters that they did so much work with, and that kind of failed. They have their moments, don't get me wrong. Tien comes back in the Cell Saga and puts in work for a moment, and then he disappears again. And then he's in the Buu Saga for 1 second before getting absorbed, I'm pretty sure. And then in Super he does nothing, right? Like, but they can't at that point. Nobody can, except for Roshi got a weird power up. Roshi was the GOAT in the Tournament of Power. It's just this random old dude doing super well, and he can't even fly. What's the deal with that? That doesn't make any sense to me. He can't fly. He gave up in Dragon Ball, but he's still been, doing ultimate training? That makes no sense to me. But anyways, I'm not reviewing the Tournament of Power. I'm not reviewing Super. I'm just saying I think all the human characters could be much better and way better utilized. That's what I think personally. Now, every episode I want to do a quote from a creator for creators. And for this episode, since it was so Dragon Ball heavy, this quote's coming from Akira Toriyama, the author of Dragon Ball. Too much fantasy loses reality, and too much hope may feel empty. Now, I think that is a very interesting quote for writing purposes. Obviously, all his characters live in a fantasy world, but without the characters reacting relatively real like people, we couldn't connect to them. And I think that is cool, as fantasy heavy as far as you could stretch it. If you just keep your characters based relatively in reality in this fantasy world, it's gonna work, right? At least that's what I took from the first half of the quote. Now, too much hope may feel empty. You can see that in his story, how he'll never be too hopeful. He'll throw his characters in a dire situation and then kind of make it worse and worse until it kind of gets better. And that hope is only there right before the defeat of the villain. I think that is honestly pretty cool, because if you know what's going to happen right before it happens, then it's not too interesting, right? If you know the character is going to go into the fight beating the villain, how's that cool? That's not interesting. You got to have that back and forth, that tug. Oh no, what's going to happen? And with him, characters actually die. Yes, they always come back. We eventually learn, but a lot of the times, especially at the beginning, the first big character he killed off, that I could remember anyways, was Krillin. And you're like, holy crap, Goku's best friend, the guy that our main character has been training with all this time, they just killed him off. That's crazy, right? That's a dire situation right there. So, and that keeps things interesting. I like that quote. I think it's really cool. Something to keep in mind when you're writing stories. I know everyone watch this probably isn't an author, but I think you could appreciate the storytelling if you are watching nerdy podcasts such as this. All right, thank you. That is the quote. Toriyama's the GOAT. Let's go. All right, and that is the show. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, especially if you got this far. That is amazing. I'd like if y'all could just power up that like and subscribe button. That would be absolutely amazing. And check me out on my socials. Trudell, the Comic God, pretty much everywhere. I do illustrations and I'm an author, so you'll see a little bit of my stories and my illustrations there. So if you're curious, please check it out. Expect this podcast every Monday for all of the nerdy goodness. I'm excited to entertain you guys and get better at this craft, because honestly, this was a fun episode to make and I'm looking forward to doing more. Now, I hope y'all have a wonderful week, and until next time, peace out, mortals.